I built this cozy little windmill in ARK Survival centered on Australia's using the CKF Custom Cosmetic, although you could also use the mod for this if you want to build the same thing, which is a free cosmetic to use. But if you want access to the keep tier, which is all these stone pieces, you will need to upgrade to the premium version. But you do that by buying the mod, not the cosmetic. Bit confusing, I know, but that will give you access to all the keep pieces too. If you don't want to buy the cosmetic, that's fine, because even with all the free pieces, you can still do most of this build. You'll just have to replace all these stone textures with either just vanilla pieces or make them out of the settler or village tier instead. Hello there, survivors, and welcome back to another build video here on my channel. Today I'm showing you exactly how to build this cozy windmill build. First, we'll take a look around, do a little tour of this base, and then I'll show you step by step how to build this one for yourself. And of course, as always, if you enjoy seeing videos like this and you would like to continue to see more, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really do appreciate all the support. So here we are on Australia's in the beautiful autumn biome, which of course looks amazing as always. And if you're wondering where this is located, it is right over here on the map, all the way in the top left. And this is the windmill build. As you can see, we have the windmill on the left with the moving windmill piece, which is part of the cosmetic, and then a cozy little building right next to it, which makes for a very cool base and definitely a build full of character. So yeah, let's take a quick look around the place. So yeah, we have this whole little cozy cabin here, which does look quite nice, I think, in my opinion at least, with some lovely use of all the pieces available. And then we have the bigger main structure, which is the windmill itself, with a little shed here off to the side too. So there is a decent amount of space in here, and of course just a very cozy looking bit. All the plants, by the way, that I added on top as extra details are from JVH Landscaping. But yeah, let's go inside. So not only does it look quite cozy from the outside, on the inside it looks quite good as well. This is all the CKF skins, so also for the utilities. So we've got the grinder here, looking very cool with custom animations. We have a smithy over here, the fabricator down there making some custom noises. We have the cam bench right here in the corner, also pretty cool. And then a bunch of the storage boxes, as well as the storage cabinet here, which is looking very nice with all the options that are available within the cosmetic. And then we have some more storage up there as details, and a little toilet, which you know, probably don't want to look into that too much, just to kind of fill up this area. And then if we go all the way up, we actually have a little bit of space here. Could add even more storage on top of here, of course. There's a little bit of room here on the platform itself, and then all the way at the top we have a little bit of dedicated storage and some other storage options, mostly just to make it look good. You can of course do whatever you want if you're using this as a base, but yeah, just wanted to make sure that it looks all nice, decorated, and yeah, I think it does make for quite a unique place to call us a base or use as a home. Over here we have the entrance into the little cabin to the side. So again, lots of these custom storage options. As you can see, there's a bunch of variants for those. We have a little bit of dedicated storage over here. We have the barrel from the Bob Talltales DLC with a skin on it. We have the beer barrel as well with a really cool skin. More of these storage cabinets. We have another variant for the smithy, and we have a nice table with some chairs around it. Also some really cool variants for the chairs and more storage. Unfortunately, we do not have a fireplace skin yet, but hopefully that will come at some point. But yeah, makes for a very nice cozy little house here. And then we have a little ladder to go up to the next layer here, where we have those beautiful windows to let in some light, and then a very cozy little bedroom here. Very simple, but well, I think it makes for an efficient little base. It doesn't require you to have too much stuff to build this, but I think it has a lot of character, which is also very important. But yeah, it makes for quite a nice cozy base, whether you want to just use this as a whole base or you're working on a bigger medieval village or town or whatever. Definitely a fun addition to build. So let's dive into how to build this for yourself. So starting right over here, what we want to do is we want to start out by placing down a 4x4 foundation, which is going to be the main windmill. So we just want to fill that all in, and that's how we're going to start. Then off to the left side, we will build the little addition, which is just 2 foundations. And over here on the right side, we actually want to move the snap point. So what we're going to do is temporarily place down a 1/4 foundation or a 1/4 ceiling, and then we're actually going to place the foundation right over there. We can take out this temporary one and then add 3 foundations right over there. And then over here, we want to make sure that we extend this until it is 5 long. We of course can make that 3 wide and just fill in the entirety of this. So now we have the addition for the main house here, but we also want to make sure that we have the entrance. So again, temporary 1/4 foundation or a 1/4 ceiling. Place 1 foundation there, take this one out and place another one right over there, so that we have both of the entrances ready now. Then we want to take out our stone staircase. We want to add 2 of them right over here, and then we can also take out our stone stairs and add them in front of this entrance. And if it allows you, if there's enough height, you can also add a slope wall to the side, but not always will it allow you to do that, unless of course you are in creative and you can ghost into the world to still place it down. There we go. These are the entirety of the foundation, so not too big. You should be able to build this in plenty of different locations. And of course, now that we've done this, we want to start out by changing this all to the keep tier. You can of course always choose different patterns as well for these rocks if you didn't know. So for example, that was the default, but you also have this one which looks plain, and we also have those squares. So you can use whatever you want. What I'm going to do here is for this windmill section, I'm actually going to use the big one. And you can see that the cool thing about the CKF skins is that you can actually update these textures before you place them down, which is a lot quicker than having to do it afterwards, of course. And then over here for the little cozy side cabin, I am just gonna do the default version. If you don't have access to the keep tier because you didn't buy the mod, then of course you can just use a different texture, or go for the settler, go for the village, or just leave the stone vanilla if you still want to have a bit of a stone look. Okay, so we'll start with this little building on the side first. We're going to have 2 pillars here, another 2 there, and then finally on the corner another 2. But we also want to make sure that we connect that one back to the bottom. We can do the same thing over here on the other side. And here at this side, of course, we want to make sure that we connect all of those all the way to the bottom, which then means that we can take out a double doorway. So we can add our door right here in the middle. And then of course above that we just want to have a full wall. Then we can of course add in the doors itself. And for this middle part, we actually all want to use the settler skin, so we can change all of these. And if you want to, you can even change this variant so you have the nice bar in the middle for an extra bit of texture. And then also here, the pillar on the corner, we can also change to the settler skin. Then we want to take out all 1/4 pieces, and we want to start by going all around the bottom here. We can do the same thing all the way across this bottom. We also want to do this all the way at the top part of this build. And then on this side, we actually want to circle around the middle here so that we can fill in a full wall afterwards. And this is so that we can create a window. Then over here, we just want to have 2 full walls, because this is where we're going to place the chimney on the inside. If you're not doing a chimney, then of course you could have another window like we did on the left of the entrance. Then we of course want to change these skins so that we get the nice textures. So here we want to change the variant first. We want to place one there and one over here. We'll do the same thing on that side. Now we can flip it around with E, and we can do the other options. So we can have that here, And that's just so that all the lines are pointing to the center, which I think looks a little bit nicer. Then we can take out the villager window. We want to make sure that we go for this variant so that we get a very nice window in there. And then we can texture the rest of this. So this middle one, we just want to go for the clean settler look. We can do that for all of those pieces. And then we can do the sides over here with the villager skins. And then over here, we want to change the variants until we get this one with the lines. And we want to make sure that we get this nice pattern going there. So you can see this adds a lot of detail already to the front of the building. Then we'll go over to the back of the building here. And once again, we want to start by going around the bottom with all quarter walls. And then here on the side, we're going to make the same window shape. So we'll do that all the way around, and we'll do the same thing over here for the other part. And we can do the top, of course, and then we can fill in the middles for all of these sections just like this. Once again, we'll take out our settler skins. We'll fill in these quarter walls first before we go and add the corners. So we want to have that one, this one, there, and here before we turn them around and add in these other corners so that we have a nice bit of pattern going. Then this one here in the middle, we want to change variants again, and we want to use the second option here. So we have this nice pattern. Then we just want to have the village tier right next to those. We can add in our windows again. So we have two more beautiful big windows. And then finally we can take out the settler skin, of course, for those pillars to make sure that those blend in very nicely. And we can see we have another very nice detailed wall. And then finally here at the end, it's very simple actually. We want to go with quarter walls at the bottom, and we also want to make sure that we add some quarter walls here at the top of the layer before we can fill in the middle with some full walls. Then what we want to do, first of all, we want to have a window right there in the middle. We want to take out our settler tier. We can have that line again pointing to the middle of the wall. So we can do that for the corners and then just fill in the bottoms and the top like normal. We can take out these again and we can change the patterns again until we get this one and make the patterns match to get an interesting wall on this side too. Then of course it's time to add a little bit more detail. So what we're going to do is we're going to add our quarter ceilings all the way around the outside here to give a little bit more depth and shape to the build. So we want to just go all the way around and add these pieces in everywhere. And then we can also actually change these all to the settler skins to make sure that they blend in nicely. And we can go all the way around, changing all these quarter ceilings just like this. Then we actually want to take out the quarter walls. We can add two right over here. So in the center, right above the doorway, we can do the exact same thing on the opposite side. And then we want to also add them here underneath. So all of these, we're going to have some supportive quarter walls, which will change to some actual supports in a little bit. But for now, we just want to go around the whole thing and make sure that we add all of these in. There we go. It looks a little bit silly, of course, until we can start texturing them. But now if we take out our scaffolding skin and you change the variant, you can get these little curved supportive pieces, which will look amazing if you add the skin to each and every one of these quarter walls that we have underneath. So we just want to go around and make sure to update all of those. There we go. And then we have our supports ready. This one we can actually change to some nice windows. That's going to be windows for the top layer. And we can actually start with the end of the roof as well. So we want to have our slope walls there, shallow slope walls, some quarter walls connecting it all, and then some normal slope walls to finish this section. So then we want to have the village skin on that one, and we can actually use the settler chair on those just to give it a more texture at the very end. And then of course it's time to go and add in the roof. So we want to take out the roof. First of all, we want to actually take out ramps. We want to have 2 ramps right here. We want to have 2 ramps right there. And then here in the middle, we also want to have 2 ramps coming from those quarter walls we've placed down. We want to do the same thing over on the other side. And then we can continue from there with 3 more ramps. And then 3 more ramps right over here to shape up the roof a little bit. So then we actually want to take out our normal roof pieces, add 2 here, 2 on the opposite side, and then again we want to have 3 over here and then 3 over on this other side, and that already gives a little bit of shape to the roof. We then want to take out our shallow slope walls again. We want to place 1 right underneath here and then just kind of add a wall here. So we want to make sure that it kind of fits this shape. It goes along with the side. So 1 over here, 1 underneath, and then just keep it going like that so we can fill in that entire side. And we can of course keep that going on the other side as well, so that we have those little gaps filled in right away. There we go. And if you want to have a little bit more detail, we will even add some half pillars at the very corners. There we are. And then all we need to do is take out our quarter ramps, and we can actually add some here to the side of the roofs, just like that, just to give it a bit more shape, a bit more overhang, and a bit more depth. And we want to do that of course on both sides of the build. Then we can take out our settler skins, and we can actually change all of this, so including the roofs and the ramps themselves. We just want to make sure that we transform all of this to the right look. So we want to make sure that we do every single piece, and then of course the very same thing over here on the opposite side. There we go. I want to make sure that we don't miss a single thing, and that will get us part 1 of a very cozy little build in place. And of course then the fireplace, if you want to add that, is going to be right over here. So yeah, we can take out the fireplace right there in the middle, and it should just about poke out here on the outside. Yeah, there we go. We have the cozy little cabin part of the build pretty much done. All we want to do is here add in some railings to the side. We can change those to the settler tier, of course. And yeah, then we are ready to start here with the main windmill build. And first of all, we will have 2 walls going up here, 2 walls over there, and then 4 walls at the very end. We can take out our pillars, make sure that they go up the same height, and of course all the way down to the ground. And then here we want to have our slope walls going back into the building itself. Then we can take out our roofs. We can have them right there, of course, on the top. We actually also want to take out our quarter roofs along the sides to add a bit more depth. And then some ramp pieces here to get a little bit of an overhang at the very end. Then we can take out our settler skins. We can, of course, change all of those. We can have this one. We want to make sure that those lines basically connect all up so they make a little bit more sense. So we'll do the exact same thing here on the opposite side, just like that. And then, of course, we want to make sure that these match up again with those other bars. And then finally here at the bottom, we want to have those settler windows for some simple windows, but they look quite nice. And then we can also change all of this, of course, to the settler skin. So that's how you build that little shed that is off to the side of the building. Then for the main windmill, we actually want to bring up a wall 4 high here and come across to the other side. We can actually fill in all of it except the very bottom. Here we want to use some quarter pieces first, and then have a nice double door in the middle, which we can then change to the keep tier, so we can get that nice rounded door and change the rest of the walls too, so that we have that one covered at the very least. Then if we go around the back here, we can take out all walls. We can actually bring this up by 4 again, go all the way across, follow this shape. We'll fill in the bottom 2. Then we actually want to have 2 wooden walls, because that's going to be a window. We're going to have some shallow slope walls right over there, and then we can have some quarter stone walls above it and some shallow stone walls here to fill in that shape, just to make it a little bit more dynamic. Then of course we can change all of these to the keep tier, so that those whole wall stays intact. Then here in the middle, this is where we add these nice beautiful windows, and we can add in a bit of extra support. Then we can also take out some quarter ceilings right there. We want to change those to the settler tier. And then finally we want to take out all quarter ramps. We can add them underneath here as a bit of support, but we also want to add them here along the very edge of this build, just to give it a bit more detail. And then we actually want to take out a half beam and add that at the very top, and then we can change all of these to the settler tier to make it all blend in, and then these one as well, but you want to change it to the second variant to look a little bit more like it's actually a supportive piece. Then on this side it's actually very simple. We just want to build around the shed we've made, so we just want to go around a shape like that for our stone wall, as you can see. And of course that means we can change all of this to the keep structures too. And then at the very front we're gonna do the same thing once more, so we'll build this shape in just like that. We can change that all to the keep tier. There we go. And then we want to take out our pillars. So first of all, we can have a pillar here on the very corner, straight down all the way. We can have some pillars over here, which we also want to make sure go down all the way to the bottom. And then of course here at the back we want to make sure that we add those in too, so we can do that all the way up to the top, but also here off to the side. And these of course we're all going to change again into the settler skins. There we go. And that will kind of finish up a lot of this area and blend it in together. So we'll do that for all of those pillars we've just placed down. There we go. Then of course we can take out our gateway and our gate, and we can also skin these with the settler tier to get a nice entrance here to our windmill. Okay, so then we want to go inside of the building for a little bit, and first of all we want to make sure that we expand this to have a little bit of room for a nice bedroom. Right here at the very end we want to make sure that we have a hatch frame. We can also of course add in our ladder here, so you can easily reach up to the top. And then we can also take out our railing pieces and add them along the very sides here. We also want to take out our slope wall pieces or shallow slope wall pieces. We can add them right here as some extra supports, just so that we have something that looks a little bit more interesting. Those of course we can change to the scaffolding so they actually look like supports. Then this we can change to the settler tier, as well as all of these ceilings, so it all blends in nicely. And then here for the railing we can change the variance until this one, and also change all of that so that we have the extra layer in there. And then over here we actually want to add a ceiling right to that corner, and then we want to add one ceiling here and one over there. We can then take out our quarter pieces. We can add 2 of them right here, and we can actually make a little shape like this to make a platform. We can take out our railings and go around like this at the half railings over there and over here, and then of course a full railing there too. And then we're going to link up the missing pieces. So first of all, we're going to add on some stairs right here so we can get up to that platform. We can do the same over here. So along the sides, we're going to raise up those stairs until they get to the very end. We want to place a temporary pillar on each of those ends. And we can have a temporary pillar there. We can then place down a half pillar here too, which we can also do on these corners, just to give it all a bit more shape. Then we want to snap to that pillar. We want to go through all the snap points until you get the right one, which will align with the railing here along the staircase. We can do the same over there. Then we can remove that temporary pillar and we can place the smaller pillar instead. So then we can have these railings along the bottom here too. Take out that one, some half railings over here, and of course that little pillar right there too. And then this one we can remove and add that smaller pillar there as well. And of course we want to add in a few of these little details wherever we can, just to make sure that it all looks the nicest. Then of course we can change this all to the settler tier, which looks quite nice. Actually, for these railings we want to make sure that we use the normal versions again. So there we go. Change all of those just to give a bit more character on the inside, and of course make sure that you can reach all of the different layers so you can use as much space as you want. There we go. So that is the way up to the next layer. And then it's time actually to go and start build the top of the windmill. So first of all, we'll take out our stone roofs. We'll have 2 over here on each side of the building, which all should kind of meet in the middle. Then we can take out our roof corners and fill in the corners of that roof. So we just want to follow that along everywhere. Then we want to take out our beams, and we can start with that going around the entirety of the building. Change them back to our pillars. Go up 3 high on all of those corners, which we'll do for all of these. And of course these will all change to the settler tier again, so that we get our nice wooden textures in place. There we go. And then here on these stone pieces we want to change the variants so they look like stairs. We want to do that also for these corner pieces, and then we can go around the entirety and make sure that we switch those so they should line up with some nice stone textures. And then it's time to build up the next layer here. So first of all, we can take out our wooden walls, and we can just kind of go around the entire side of the building, the first layer at least. Then we can take out the village skin again, and we want to place this on the right wall all the way around. Then we can flip it around and place that on the other wall, so the pattern is complete for this layer. Then we'll first fill in the sides of the building. So what we want to do is just keep going with those walls. So we'll do that for both of us. Take out the settler skin and make sure that we have that nice pattern on the sides, and then just a normal version below that just to fill in those sides. Then we can take out our quarter walls again, and we want to start by making this shape all the way around. And of course we can do the exact same thing here on the front of the building, just like that. Then we can take out our walls here and there. We'll start here at the back of the building. So first of all, we'll just want to have the plain settler quarter walls there. We'll have those corner pieces pointing inwards again, just like this. And then we'll have a little window in the middle there. Here on the front, this is of course where we're going to have the actual windmill. So first of all, having these point into the middle of everything, fill in those side pieces all the way around. And then we want to take out the windmill skin, and as you can see, there's a few variants. You can choose the direction it spins on, and you can choose the side if it doesn't align correctly. But there we go. That is how you got that moving windmill piece right in there. And then we want to have some slope walls here at the very end to shape up this building a little bit. But we'll use the village skin on those again to blend in those colors a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely taking shape. Then we'll take out our roof pieces. We'll start with our quarter roofs by placing them in this shape. We'll do the same thing here on the opposite side. So we're leaving a little gap there in the middle. And here at the very end, we want to make sure that we add in a few ramps to give a little bit more shape. We don't want to overhang because that's going to collapse with the windmill itself. Here we want to use the normal roof skins, of course, from the settler tier. And we can do that on both sides of the building, just like this. And then we want to have a full ceiling right over here in the middle. We can also change that to the settler tier right away. We should be able to have 4 walls on each side. Also can add, of course, some pillars to the very corners, which means we can also change all of this to the settler tier, at least the front and the back. And then these sides, we actually want to make sure that we have some windows just because it looks quite nice. Then we can have 4 ceilings just like this. Change those to the settler tier. So this gives us a little bit of an overhang here on the sides. We want to make sure that we add in our quarter walls. So we want to add them on every corner piece here, just to again add in some additional support. So now we can take out the scaffolding skin again, and we can add those little curved arches as some supports for this top layer, which gets us quite a nice look already. And then we can take out the corner roof pieces. So we basically want to build a little tower on top of this. So we'll do that straight away. Change them, of course, to the settler skins all the way around. And then finally, we want to have a pillar. And then on top of that, a thin pillar. Change those as well to the settler tier. And there we go. We have our windmill looking very nice. And if you want to have a bit more detail, you can have a support there and a support here, just so that it looks a little bit more like that's actually being held up that way. And then, of course, we want to utilize this top bit. So we want to have our ceilings going up like this. We want to have our hatch frame right there in the corner. And that also means, of course, that we can have our ladder coming down like this. And we can change all of those to the settler skin so that you can get up to the very top. And with that, you have this whole cozy little windmill build completed. And yeah, that's how you build it and skin it using the CKF Cosmetics. Anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds you'd like to see down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.